She trusted him, loved him, built her entire future around him, only to discover her perfect boyfriend was using her as a stepping stone. Broken but not defeated, she left everything behind, chased her dreams abroad, and unknowingly walked straight into the arms of the one man she was never supposed to love, his brother. What happens next will shatter hearts, expose dark secrets, and prove that sometimes betrayal is the doorway to destiny. Subscribe to this channel for stories that hit your soul. I used to believe perfection existed because I was dating it. At least that's what everyone said when they saw Adrian Hale holding my hand. Tall, charming, endlessly supportive in public. The kind of man mothers adored and friends envied. The man who remembered birthdays and sent flowers. Just because. The man I trusted with my dreams, my fears, my entire future. And for 5 years I built my life around him. Sacrificing opportunities, delaying my education, working 2 jobs so he could finish his MBA faster. Convincing myself love meant patience, until the night I accidentally overheard a conversation that cracked my entire world open like glass under a hammer. Because standing outside his apartment door with groceries melting in my hands, I heard my name spoken with laughter, cruel and dismissive, heard him tell his friends that I was temporary, that my savings were useful, that once he secured the overseas job offer, he'd upgrade, because girls like her don't belong in the life I'm building. And in that moment the man I loved died, replaced by a stranger wearing his face, and I walked away without confronting him, without tears, without screaming, because something colder and stronger took hold inside me, and the next morning I packed my bags, withdrew the money I had saved secretly, applied for the scholarship I'd once abandoned for him, and left the country with nothing but rage, grief, and a promise to myself that I would never be small again. And studying abroad was brutal at first. Lonely nights, foreign streets, a language that felt like walls closing in. But pain sharpened me, failure taught me resilience, and within 3 years I earned my degree with honors, built a reputation in my field, and learned how to stand tall alone. And it was at an international business conference, ironic, almost cruel, that fate reintroduced me to the past, because across a crowded hall of polished suits and glittering ambition stood Adrian, older, sharper, successful, his eyes locking onto mine with shock and something dangerously close to regret, and before I could turn away, he approached me like no time had passed, apologizing with practiced charm, praising my success, pretending we were equals now, and that's when I noticed the man standing beside him, quiet, observant, carrying a gravity Adrian never had, introduced simply as, my brother, Julian, and the moment Julian met my gaze, something shifted. Recognition without memory, connection without history, and unlike Adrian's smooth flattery, Julian's presence was steady, unsettling in its sincerity, and over the following days I found myself drawn into conversations with him that went far deeper than business, late-night discussions about purpose, morality, regret, and the cost of ambition, and slowly, unknowingly, I began to feel safe again, until cracks started to appear, because Adrian wasn't just apologetic, he was desperate. Subtly sabotaging my meetings, spreading half-truths, attempting to reclaim control over a narrative he'd lost, and Julian saw it, confronted him, and in that confrontation secrets spilled like blood, revealing that Adrian's success had been built on manipulation, stolen credit, and deals that destroyed lives, including mine. And when Julian apologized to me, not for his brother, but for the system that enabled men like him, I realized Julian had always known the truth, had distanced himself from Adrian for years because of it, and that night, in the quiet aftermath of exposure, our walls finally fell, and we kissed not in passion but in release, in relief, in the fragile hope of something real. But happiness was short-lived because Adrian struck back, leaking false allegations that threatened my career, triggering investigations, suspensions, public scrutiny, and I watched everything I'd rebuilt teeter on the edge of collapse, until Julian made a choice that changed everything. He stepped forward with evidence, documents, testimonies, destroying his brother's empire at the cost of his own inheritance, his family, his name, and standing beside me in the wreckage. He told me that loving me was worth losing everything he never wanted anyway. And in the silence after the storm, when Adrian was arrested, disgraced, erased from power, I expected victory to feel sweeter, but instead it felt quiet, heavy, reflective, because healing isn't loud, and love isn't fireworks. It's consistency, sacrifice, truth, and months later, As my career stabilized and Julian and I rebuilt slowly, carefully, choosing honesty every day, I realized the greatest twist of all wasn't falling for my ex's brother, or rising from betrayal, or exposing corruption. It was discovering that the man who broke me had unknowingly pushed me toward the life and love I was always meant to have. And standing on a balcony overlooking a city that once terrified me, Julian asked me if I regretted anything, and I answered honestly, that I regretted staying small for someone who needed me small, but I was grateful for the pain that taught me my worth, because without it, I would never have found myself, and I would never have found him. And as the sun rose over a future neither of us had planned but both had earned, I knew that betrayal had been the beginning, not the end, and that sometimes the perfect boyfriend is a lie, but the imperfect love that follows is the truth that saves you.